Hey guys, so it's been a couple days for me, half a second for y'all. So we finally got the carburetor installed, the old Mikuni. Next, move the seat we got finished securing my oil bag. And the reason why I need to tackle this next, because in the next episode or two, I'm going to be tackling the wiring, and I need a place to store all my wiring components. So that's what this open space is going to be for. So I got this piece of square stock, well, not stock, square tubing, and this is going to create the brace for the back side, because I just got the two bolts in the front holding it into place right now. And of course I made sure it was clear for my 50 cal shifter arm. Still gotta tighten that down. Anyways, so now we are basically just gonna run some flat stock heading downwards, getting right behind there. You can't really see that, not enough lighting. But we're going to get some flat stock to run down there, and we're going to start welding up the rear bracket, so that way I can test it with my old battery, which I have in the boxes over there. Have it supported, and then I might conclude this video with routing my new oil lines, because with the new geometry of the bike and the frame, these lines don't fit anymore. So I'm going to make some new oil lines, and I got something pretty special for that project. So stay tuned and let's get to grinding. So after doing a few little test fits with the battery, kind of went with a bit of a problem. Let me get tripod here for a second. As you can see, that battery is standing way too proud from the frame, and I don't have too much clearance down here, which means I'm gonna have to refabricate this top bracket, which means I'm probably gonna have to cut this off, keep this, but make a secondary mounting tab lower. That makes it run a little lower, so that way I can make these rear struts run lower. So the good thing I busted out the old battery, because if I just went gun-ho, I would have been able to have my front seat. So yeah, so I'm going to take out the battery, take out the bolts here, and cut away all these tacks. That's why I don't secure everything with a solid weld right off the bat, because of, you know, mistakes like this you gotta take into consideration. I know some people like to get those TC Bro style, pill style oil pads, but I already invested a few $100s to make this oil bucket work, so that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to work with what we got after all the investment I already put in, and do what I've been doing the whole time, just keep winging it. So get back to you once this thing's off. Alright, so I got something I want to work with. I got some adjustability out of the original bracket, so I didn't have to cut that off. But I am going to have to get new longer bolts and some spacers, because what I did, I just loosened it up so the weight kind of created that angle where the battery is below, at least halfway or 3/4 down the DOM tubing. So now I'm going to get back to working on the rear brackets. What I'm going to do is going to cut this strip right down the middle, cut it off. Now I'm going to drill out slots near the bottom, loosely bolt it up to the oil pan, probably put the battery in there again as a secondary reference, and then I'm going to make a final mark on how long to make them that matches the top of the square tubing, and then I'm going to start welding them all up together, tack into place, take it all out, do a complete weld, and then finalize securing, and maybe make something out of some washers or some flat stock, just to create this, keep the tension even on all my mounts. So I'll get you guys on time lapse so I can get my music going, and we'll see you once we get this thing drilled and on the bike. So now we got our tabs. I know I said I was going to slot them, but since I don't have a mill, I couldn't really get these small holes cut with the angle grinder. It just botched them right up, so I just made a solid hole, and I'm just going to run the gauntlet here and try to get it all nice and leveled. So I'm going to quickly remove the battery, and I'm just going to just install them loosely. Down at the bottom, the 1/2-inch bolts, at least for this style of oil bag. You know, speaking of which, with the bolts included, it might have been pushing the battery up a little bit. So, who knows? Maybe, yeah, I may need to get stubbier, or at least cut them short. Either way, we'll find out once we get this thing all loosely all tucked together. And one more. I love when the hardware is nice and simple. Like it when my original plan can still be lightly modified instead of completely botched like I thought it was going to be. And you see there's a lot of play in here, so I am going to need to get longer bolts and spacers. So now that that's in, that looks pretty parallel. Before I snug them down, I'm going to put the battery back in. I'm going to keep the terminals pointed away, just as a precaution. Hopefully I don't get electrocuted. Grab myself a straight piece of plastic, run it down, and yeah, I still got a 1/2-inch gap all the way around. So that way when I lay my seat down, I'm not going to arc out and blow up my chopper. Because that's no fun. So that's good there. So that means I can just go straight up to snugging these down. Make sure these tabs are perfectly, well, as perfect as an amateur can get. Vertical. So now we just gotta move this up. Well, the good news is, yeah, I'm gonna hit these with the MIG welder and just build up some height. Yeah, these are short. Damn it. Well, the good thing about metal is you can always modify it. All right, so I'm probably just going to weld it right here and get the battery out of the way, and I'll just start building up these terminals here before I can just slap this bitch on. Actually, yeah. I got one more thing I'm going to try. I'll be right back with y'all. So with that in there, I can carefully remove this without zipping myself. You know, I really shouldn't. So, toasty. It's gonna be a little tricky getting the battery in and out. Come on. There she goes. There she goes. It'll get a lot easier once I shorten down these bolts a little bit. Alright, so I'll get back to you guys once I get some beads going. Alright, see you soon. Okay, so unfortunately my TIG welder was really messing up on me. It just couldn't keep with the consistent arc, and the ground seemed fine, and at certain angles it will work and not other. So I got to get my buddy Ed to have a look see at that, so you get his advice. But luckily we went out and make it out. And that's exactly what we did there. We just put some nice MIG welds. I actually swapped these bolts around because these the original ones that were on the back side were longer, so I popped them in the front. And you can see we still have a gap here I gotta work on, but that's gonna be fixed by rubber spacers, no problem. And again, we have perfect clearance all throughout, which means if I just toss my seat on, which is bare metal, it ain't arcing, it ain't zipping, no zapping. So that concludes mounting the oil bed, because even with the battery on, that ain't going nowhere. So happy with that. So next things up is, drop that over there, routing the oil lines. They go from up here, the very top one, yeah, far left hole, or far right I should say, go to the top left side down there, and we have another one, yeah, right down underneath there that feeds down here. So I'm going to try rerouting some of the lighting around so you can actually see a little bit better what I'm doing. Alright, so we're back here, and this is, after this part, probably going to conclude what we be doing. So we're going to tackle this as one part at a time, and I got something I really want to show y'all. Are these? Open up the bag. You'll see a little better. Now, what these are from Exile Cycles, and anyone who watches Great Biker Build-Off will know exactly who I'm talking about. Russell Mitchell himself. Now, what these things are, these are what adapt to your motor and oil bucket that allow you to run soft lines instead of these standard hard lines. Because I believe even before, you had threaded nipples that go onto your crankcase and up to your oil bags or oil bucket, oil pan, whatever you want to call them. And since twin cams are a friction, kind of like a friction fit, you clip them in. These replace them. Now, I had to get 6 of them because I'm doing all my lines in soft lines. So normally they come in a set of 2. So we disconnect the very bottom one here. Yeah, okay. Make sure it has everything. Yep, okay. So, disconnect the bottom one. I'll just disconnect these 2, just so you can see a little better. So, let's start off with this piece, this bad boy up here. Grab ourselves another bag. So, you got these plastic bits on the top here. Now, you gotta be very careful when removing them, because you don't want them to crack, because these will create your seal. So, we just carefully... I got a light so you guys can see, but now I can't see what I'm doing. Alright, I'll get back to you once I get these off. Alright, so get this. I know I just explained to you how this little stud, yeah, dog's gonna be barking again. This little stud is going to help with my oil line issues. Well, Harley Davidson in all his wisdom, and I can't believe I didn't know this sooner, the diameter to the line that leads to the crankcase is larger that will lead to the oil bag. Which means, instead of swapping over the pins that hold the lugs in, and, sorry, just dropping that, and curse myself for spending over $250 on them, I'm going to have to use 3 of them for the crankcase and modify the rest. Which means I'm going to have to put the cut saw, chop saw on the angle grinder, cut up the original oil lines, temporary fit them with the temporary hose, just so I can get the lines to the length I want, and find some kind of flaring tool that will make sure the hose line stays on. So, gotta love Harley engineering, especially past the Evo, man. I'm really biting off more than I can chew chopping up a twin cam, eh? Well, I stopped to have dinner and had a beer, had a coffee. Now I'm ready to start modifying. Alright. Well, at least this stuff is easy to cut, but it will not leave too much to the imagination. So when it's time to flare it, I am really going to... Where's my pick? I want to make sure I got all the little symbols and wires and crap out. Yeah, all that shit. Yeah, like all those little metal shavings there. I want to get rid of that. I think I got some kind of flaring tool up in the shoving over there. But if that doesn't work, I'm going to make a strip down to Jackson. Hopefully find some extra line, because this stuff, yeet. You gotta do that 2 more times, honestly. Because luckily the return line is just a simple flared out nipple. So, go grab the other line and we'll get right back at it. Loop found. So it's gonna spray that. Spray some on my finger here, rub it on. So this hose will connect into here. Come on. This is bullshit. Okay, I'm gonna get back to you once I get this on. Alright, so we got first hose. This is going to be our first measurement for the steel braided, which I'm going to get later down the road. Next is to plug onto the other end and start working my way up. What I did earlier, I don't know if I picked on camera, but I had to pick the string going down to where each individual line goes. Just if you don't have it memorized at the top of your head, like other mechanics may have it. Just follow the clue. You'll be fine. Now we get to play this game a couple times. Back on and off, on and off, on and off. There we go. Make sure she's seated. So this is going to go up to there. So, like I say, just cut yourself a little extra slack or a little extra hose line. You can always trim it down later, because usually you buy like 6-8 feet rolls. So, and it's also going to be a good test. Oh yeah. So that slides right on, no problem, which means I'm definitely need to find a way to flare out the tip. But it looks like also I'm going to have play. Excuse me. Yeah, there's some play here, so I'm probably going to find a way to connect these lines together. See how long this is? I could easily probably take off 3 to 4 inches. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to put my thumb up against it. Scissors up to the thumb. Take out, since I need about 4 inches off, we're going to take 2 and just take little nubs off at a time. So I'll take this off now. Yeah, that fits. That fits. So it's not too close to the exhaust. Now I get to play that one more time. Uno mas. On the end. Luckily I have a little extra meat on this one. Stick it on. Stick it in till you hear the click and it doesn't naturally fall out. And again, so right about that. Like, this is not a how-to build a chopper. This is just how I am building a chopper, okay? This is my first time building a chopper, first time doing something of such extravagance, I guess you can call it. Yeah, see, that's going to be rubbing against the rocker box there, so that's going to be too long. So I'm probably going to trim off about 1 inch. Like I said, these scissors work just fine. And another thing I could probably do is grab the heat gun and actually kind of hit it with the heat gun. Grab the heat gun, hit it with the heat gun. Grab the heat gun and hit it so the hose becomes a little more pliable. So it's getting... better. I'm gonna take off another little bit. Maybe just a half inch. There we go. Sticker on. And nothing saying I can't just hit it. A zip tie. Woo! Zip tie. So in theory, I can literally just grab myself a final hose clamp. There we go. So, now we have, let's see if I can just shape you guys up a little bit. I am so fucking exhausted from doing this, man. I didn't think this was going to be one of the hardest parts of this build. Let me see here. We have some of the original hardware that we chopped down, and we're going to have to flare out, but there's enough room to put hose clamps on them. Those Exile Cycle fucking studs. Apparently you only did need 2 because they didn't think about the top lines. Or the rear lines. Yeah, I swear I should have probably just got my... I think for future reference for anyone doing a twin cam is to get yourself an Evo style oil bag, because those are threaded on nipples. Because they're designed a little bit different. So I think that's what I'll probably recommend maybe do next time. But this will work. Oh yeah, look at those nice ugly welds. But this will do for now. So we got all the necessary feeding lines. And I got one more line back here, which is where my oil drainage is going to go, which is going to be, I'm going to mount it right down there. But that's for another time, and I'm almost out of battery. But I'm sorry this episode is going to be a little more sporadic. I'm not a mechanic, but this is just how I'm going to go about doing it. This is how my process, my fails and successes is going to be all recorded for you guys. And I think on the next episode, since we're going to talk about failures and successes, let's see how well I do with electrical on the next episode. Stay tuned for that. Thank you again for watching. Thanks for everyone who's been subscribing, supporting me so far in this journey. Love to see more of you, so hit share, like, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Links in the description for everything else, like my Instagram, Teespring to help support the builds. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm fucking old. And I'll see you guys on the next episode where I start tackling wiring. Cheers.